In the last class we discussed about the third unit, that is the rigid body dynamics. In that rigid body dynamic we discussed some of the basic definitions and some of the explanation regarding to the rigid body dynamics, that are what you mean by moment of inertia, what is radius of gyrations, what is center of mass, center of gravity. Based on all the definitions, where next topic will be very important topic, that topic will be mainly deals with the moment of inertia. So we know that what you mean by moment of inertia. So in today's class we are going to discuss two main concepts, that is theorems regarding the moment of inertia, that is theorems of parallel and perpendicular axis. What is the theorem statement for the theorems of parallel and perpendicular axis and the proof for that statement. And the second concept will be moment of inertia of uniform rod and also the moment of inertia of a rectangular body. What will be the moment of inertia of a plain thin rod and what is the moment of inertia if you consider the rectangular body, and after that we come across what will be the moment of inertia of circular rod and cylindrical rod, and in this moment of inertia we have to derive what will be the radius of gyration. So let us study one by one. First one will be the theorems of parallel and perpendicular axis theorem. So we know that the moment of inertia. So we divide the moment of inertia theorem into two parts, that is for parallel axis and for the perpendicular axis. So in this perpendicular axis again we have to state two statements, that is when the axis, when you consider the perpendicular axis in a plane and also a perpendicular axis in three-dimensional axis. So let us discuss one by one. So mainly the moment of inertia, in this class we discussed what you mean by parallel axis theorem and perpendicular axis theorem. In perpendicular axis theorem we have to discuss what will be the perpendicular axis theorem for a plane and what will be the perpendicular axis theorem for a three-dimensional body. Let us discuss one by one. Firstly consider what will be the theorem of perpendicular axis. Axis. So theorem for perpendicular axis, firstly I told that there are two theorems regarding the plane and for the three-dimensional axis. Firstly let us discuss what will be the perpendicular axis theorem for plane. So here we considering the plane and we have to state the theorem for a moment of inertia for a plane axis theorem. So before going to state the statement, I will write the mathematical expression for a statement. The moment of inertia for plane theorem states that is Iz, that is moment of inertia along z axis, will be equal to the moment of inertia of x axis plus moment of inertia of y axis. Based on this mathematical expression we have to state the moment of inertia of a plane axis. So here Iz is nothing but the moment of inertia along the z axis and Ix is nothing but the moment of inertia along x axis and Iy is nothing but the moment of inertia along the y axis. Based on this we have to state what will be the moment of inertia of a plane axis or a plane surface. So statement of theorem will be, so it states that moment of inertia of plane. So here we considering the plane, that is moment of inertia of the plane of an axis perpendicular to the axis is equal to sum of the moment of inertia of two mutually perpendicular axes. Mutually perpendicular axis. That means here this will be the moment of inertia of z axis in a plane. So moment of inertia of a axis, it is perpendicular to the plane. It's always perpendicular to the plane. So that the moment of inertia of the plane which is perpendicular to the plane, it's always equal to the sum of the moment of inertia of two mutually perpendicular axes. So this will be the statement of moment of inertia theorem of a plane surface. Here Iz will be the moment of inertia of a plane which is perpendicular to the plane, and sum of the moment of inertia of remaining two axes which are mutually perpendicular to the each other. This will be the statement of plane axis theorem. Let us prove the theorem. So prove for the moment of inertia theorem perpendicular axis of a plane. So here we have to consider the plane surface or a plane rigid body. So I will consider the rigid body. This is our rigid body. Okay. So firstly this is our rigid body, plane rigid body, and 2, 3 axis. This is our x axis, this is y axis and z axis. So this z axis will be perpendicular to the plane of the rigid body at the center O. Okay. So x and y are two axes which are mutually perpendicular to each other. So here I consider a rigid body of plane rigid body, z axis, x axis and y axis. Z axis, OZ axis, z axis is mutually perpendicular to the plane of the rigid body. That means if you consider this will be our rigid body, z axis always perpendicular to the plane of the rigid body, and x and y axis are mutually perpendicular to each other, and O will be the axis, center of axis. So I will consider point here, this is the point P. So okay, so I will draw the, so R will be the distance from center to the point O, so that it has a points P as x and y. We have two coordinate system, that is OX, OY coordinate system. So generally we know that the moment of inertia will be equal to the product of m and r square. This is our general moment of inertia. So using this equation or using this moment of inertia definition, we have to prove the plane moment of inertia theorem which is perpendicular. So this is our equation 1. Generally we know that r square is nothing but for a plane x square and y square, sum of the x square and y square. So just substitute that, that is I z is nothing but sum of the m r square. Sum of the m r square is nothing but, here we considering the so many particle having the mass m. Okay. Iz is nothing but the moment of inertia along z axis is nothing but the summation of m instead of r square x square plus y square. So I will split it, sum of m x square plus sum of m y square. So this is our I z. This is equation 2 and this is equation 1. Generally we know that the moment of inertia along x axis is always given by the sum of m y square. That means if you consider for x axis, the moment of inertia will be m into y square. For y axis, sum of m x square. This is our equation 3 and this is our equation 4. This is we know. So by substituting these values, we can rewrite the equation 2 as Iz will be equal to, instead of summation of mx square, I write I y plus, instead of summation my square, I write sum of I x. So this will be the statement of moment of inertia of plane which is perpendicular. That means the moment of inertia of a plane which is on axis, which is always perpendicular to the plane, that will be equal to sum of the two mutual perpendicular moment of inertia of two mutual perpendicular axis, that is Iy plus Ix. This will be the statement of plane theorem for perpendicular plane theorem for moment of inertia. So this can be for plane. So again we have to consider for 3-dimensional axis. This is for 2 dimension, that means for a plane. Here we considering only 2 axis, that is p of x and y. Next theorem or a statement of theorem will be for 3-dimensional axis. Let us discuss that. This will be the proof of 2 plane moment of inertia for plane rigid body. Next one will be perpendicular theorem for 3-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system. So first theorem will be for plane perpendicular plane rigid body. Next one will be the perpendicular theorem for 3-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system. So before going to statement, I will write the mathematical formula of this theorem, that is the moment of inertia I will be equal to half of the sum of the moment of inertia of all 3 coordinate system. So this will be the statement of moment of inertia of 3-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system. So here I will be the moment of inertia. Ix, Iy, Iz are the moment of inertia of x axis, y axis and the z axis. If you consider the axis along x means Ix will be the moment of inertia. If you consider along the y axis means moment of inertia will be Iy. If you considering for z axis, the moment of inertia will be Iz. This is with the mathematical expression for a 3-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system theorem. So let us state the statement, that is I will be the moment of inertia. So moment of inertia of 3-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system Cartesian system which is on axis perpendicular, that will be equal to half of the sum of the three mutually perpendicular axes. Three mutually perpendicular axes. This is the statement of if you consider three-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system. The moment of inertia of three-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system, this should be equal to half of the sum of the moment of inertia of three mutually perpendicular axes. This is very important, for they will ask for 2 marks. So state the perpendicular axis theorem for three-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system. It's always equal to the half of the sum of the moment of inertia of three mutually perpendicular axes. So this is the statement and this will be the mathematical expression. Let us prove the statement, it's correct or wrong. So here also we have to consider the three-dimensional axis or a three-dimensional diagram of rigid body which are mutually perpendicular to each other. So I will consider this is our rigid body, this is our rigid body and the three axes. This is x axis, this is y axis and this is z axis, and this is the point O. And here I will consider the any axis, that is A dash. A and A dash is nothing but any axis. So in a perpendicular theorem of a three-dimensional Cartesian coordinates, the moment of inertia of a perpendicular axis of any axis, in any axis we consider, so A and A dash will be any axis in a rigid body. So I will consider the particle P here. This is our particle P on a rigid body. So I will write, and R will be the distance from center O to the point P. So that the P having x, y and in a z axis. That means if you move this one, that will in a x axis also, the particle will be in y axis also and in the z axis also. R will be the distance from O to P. So we have three Cartesian coordinate system here. They are OX, OY and OZ. OX, OY, OZ are the three Cartesian coordinate system, and A and A dash are any axis in a rigid body. Y, X and Z are the two mutually perpendicular axes. So normally we know that the moment of inertia will be I will be equal to sum of the m r square. Okay, this is our general form. So normally the remaining term we know that I of x, that is moment of inertia along the x axis. So here we considering the three-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system, so that the r, this r, that means the distance from O to P will be r square is nothing but x square plus y square plus z square. So that I will be become sum of m x square plus y square plus z square. I will rewrite this equation, sum of m x square plus sum of m y square plus sum of m z square. This is our equation 2. So generally the moment of inertia along x axis is nothing but the sum of m y square and z square. That means the moment of inertia of along x axis is nothing but sum of the mass of a particle and y square and a z square. Similarly, the moment of inertia of y always given by the sum of m x square plus z square. So, moment of inertia of y will be sum of x square and z square. Similarly, for moment of inertia along z axis will be given by sum of m x square plus y square. This is our equation 3. So, just substitute these values for here, that means I will be equal to sum of m x square plus y square plus sum of m y square plus z square plus sum of m x square plus z square. So, x square y square, y square z square and x square z square. So, if you simplify this, sum of m will be the common and x square y square plus y square plus z square plus x square plus z square. So, sum of m common. So, x square plus x square, that is 2x square, y square and y square plus 2y square plus z square and z square 2z square. So, from these equation I will take 2 as common, x square plus y square plus z square. So, generally we know that the x square y square plus z square will be equal to r square. So, just substitute that, that means summation of m to x square y square z square is nothing but r square. So, 2 sum of m r square. So, sum of m r square is nothing but I. So, here we can write this as, so this is Ix, Iy and Iz. Ix plus Iy plus Iz will be equal to 2 sum of m r square. So, Ix plus Iy plus Iz will be equal to 2, instead of sum m r square I write I. So, if you simplify this equation will become I will be equal to half of Ix, Iy, Iz is nothing but the moment of inertia of x, y and the z. So, this will be the proof of a perpendicular axis theorem for a 3-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system. The moment of inertia of a 3-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system of any axis, which should be equal, this should be equal to the half of the sum of the 3 mutually perpendicular axes, that are a moment of inertia of x axis, moment of inertia of y axis and moment of inertia of z axis. These two theorems, that means the first, this will be for 3-dimensional, and for 2-dimensional Iz will be equal to Ix and plus Iy for plane. These two are the statement mathematical expression for theorem of perpendicular axis theorem, moment of inertia of perpendicular axis theorem. First one for plane, that means the moment of inertia of perpendicular axis, plane perpendicular axis, that should be equal to the sum of the moment of inertia of remaining two mutually perpendicular axis, that is Ix and Iy. So, second theorem for 3-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system, the moment of inertia of any 3-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system of an axis any axis that should be equal to the half of the sum of the 3 mutually perpendicular axes. Next one will be theorem for parallel axis. That means here we considering the two axes parallel to each other. That means x should be parallel to y. So for this theorem, this theorem always states that the mathematical expression, that is the moment of inertia of a rigid body, that should be equal to the moment of sum of the moment of inertia of center of mass plus m x square. So m is nothing but the mass of any particle in a rigid body. So x square, here x square is nothing but the distance between two parallel axes. So this is the mathematical expression of parallel axis theorem. So let us state the theorem. That is, the statement of the theorem states that the moment of inertia of rigid body of axis is equal to sum of the moment of inertia of center of mass and the product of mass of particle and distance between square of the distance between two parallel axes. So this is the statement by using the mathematical expression. So moment of inertia of a rigid body of axis, that should be equal to the moment of inertia of center of mass axis. So IC is nothing but the moment of inertia at center of mass and sum of the moment of inertia of center of mass and the product of, so here m and x square, m into x square. So product of mass of a particle to the square of the distance between two parallel axes. X square is nothing but the distance between two parallel axes. So this is the statement, the moment of inertia of any rigid body, that should be equal to the sum of the moment of inertia of a center of mass axis to the product of mass and a distance between two parallel axes. So we have to prove the statement. Let us do that. Proof for the theorem for parallel axis theorem. Here we have to consider the rigid body. This is our rigid body. So in this rigid body we have to consider two parallel axes. So this is our x dash axis and this is our y dash axis. Here x and x dash and y dash are mutually parallel to each other. Both are parallel to each other. So x is nothing but the distance between two parallel axes, and I will consider the particle here. This is the particle P. So this is the distance r from a center O to the point P, and this is the center of axis, the center of mass, that is C. So I will draw the line from here to here, that having the distance and here to here. That means here to here will be, this will be the center, so that the distance from center to the point P will be r. This is our, the distance from O to P will be y, and this is q, and distance from O to Q will be h. Okay. So here I will considering the rigid body and two parallel axes x dash and y dash, and C will be the center of mass C and P will be the point on a rigid body. So distance from center to the point P will be R, and distance from O to P will be y, and the distance between two parallel axes will be x, and the distance between here O to Q will be h. Let us prove the theorem. So here we have to state moment of inertia. So moment of inertia is given by sum of the m r square. So I will be equal to sum of the m r square. This is the general equation of moment of inertia. So here r square is nothing but this one square. So here we are observing that the right angle triangle, that is CPQ is our right angle triangle. R, here we get a R is nothing but, if you consider the right angle triangle, this will be our hypotenuse, and these CQ and QP are the remaining two sides. Generally we know that from the Pythagoras theorem, right angle theorem, so square of the hypotenuse will be equal to the sum of the squares of the remaining two sides. That means CP will be our hypotenuse. Square of the hypotenuse is nothing but r square, that should be equal to the sum of the squares of remaining two sides. That I will write CP square, that is square of the hypotenuse, will be equal to the sum of the squares of the remaining two sides CQ plus PQ. So this is from Pythagoras theorem. Let us substitute the value. CP is nothing but r square, that is equal to CQ x plus y, x plus y whole square plus PQ. I will write it PQ square. So r square is nothing but x square plus y square, h square plus 2xh from the formula a plus b whole square plus PQ square. So here we are observing PQ, we need this value. So here also we are observing small right angle triangle, that is PQO. So this is our small right angle triangle PQO. From this right angle triangle, again we have to state the Pythagoras theorem, that is square of the hypotenuse is nothing but y square, that should be equal to the sum of the squares of the remaining two sides, that is h square plus, here we do not know the value, that is PQ. So from this we can write as, so q square plus h square is nothing but y square. So q square plus h square is nothing but y square. I will substitute that r square should be equal to x square plus 2xh plus h square plus PQ whole square. So instead of this PQ square plus h, I will write x square plus 2xh plus y square. So this is our r square. So if you substitute here, that is for equation 1, this is our equation 1, substitute the value for equation 1, the equation 1 will be become I sum of m x square plus 2xh plus y square. So if you split this equation, I should be equal to sum of m x square plus sum of m y square plus sum of m 2x h. So instead of summation of m, I will write this as capital M. So by substituting that, so m x square plus m y square plus m 2xh. Here m 2xh, that should be always equal to 0, and this term m y square should be equal to the moment of inertia of the center. That means here the m y square, that means the center will be on y axis, so that m y square is nothing but capital IC, that means the moment of inertia of center of mass. By substituting these values, this equation will become I should be equal to m x square plus, instead of this, IC, that means the moment of inertia of center of mass. This will be the proof for a second theorem, that is parallel axis theorem. Parallel axis theorem states that the moment of inertia of a two parallel axis, that should be equal to the product of moment of inertia, sum of the moment of inertia of center of mass to the product of moment of inertia of particle mass m, and the x square is nothing but the distance between two parallel axes. This is the proof for a second theorem, that is parallel axis theorem. So here we have to consider the Pythagoras theorem and two parallel axes. Completes the theorems of moment of inertia of parallel and perpendicular axis. Next concept will be the moment of inertia of thin uniform rod. So what will be the moment of inertia if you consider the thin uniform rod, and what will be the moment of inertia if you consider the rectangular body, rectangular rigid body. So here we have to discuss what will be the moment of inertia, and using that moment of inertia, radius of gyration. So for this we have to consider the thin rod. Thin rod is nothing but we have only the length, and the breadth will be negligible. So for this I will consider the thin rod of AB. This is our thin rod AB. So this is thin rod of AB having the length L. So here only we have the length, and the breadth will be negligible. And this rod having the axis, first we have to consider the axis exactly at the center. That means for moment of inertia of thin uniform rod, we have to discuss what will be the moment of inertia when you takes the axis exactly at the center, and the second case will be the moment of inertia when you consider the axis at the end, and the third concept will be if you consider the axis only the perpendicular to the rigid body or perpendicular to the thin rod. For first case, I will consider the axis O dash. This axis always exactly to the center. That means center is nothing but it will cut the thin rod into two parts. So that the distance from here to here will be L by 2. From here to here L by 2. So total length of the rod will be L. Again I will consider the small area of this thin rigid body. This is our small area, that is dx. Dx is our small area of a rigid body from the distance x. This is from the distance x. So this will be the diagram when you consider the axis exactly to the center, that should be perpendicular. Okay. And the mass of the rigid body will be mass m, and mass per unit length is given by m by L. M will be mass. Mass per unit length will be m divided by x, and dx will be small element length from x distance. So here we have to finding what will be the moment of inertia of small area. So moment of inertia of small area, that is dx area, will be given by I will be equal to the small area for m by L, that is the mass per unit length, into x square into dx. This will be the moment of inertia of a small area. So we need a total moment of inertia for whole body. So that generally we know that if you need the total moment of inertia of a whole body, we have to integrate this equation. Okay, this is equation 1. This is moment of inertia of a small element or moment of inertia of a small body. Okay, so we need a whole body moment of inertia, so that I will integrate this equation from L by 2 to 0. That means for L by 2, m by L x square dx. So if you differentiate this, m by L will be common value. So 0 to L by 2 x square dx. So if you integrate this, so x cube by 3 limit L by 2 to 0. So m by L and 3 will be the common. So x cube from the limit L by 2 to 0. I will apply the limit 3L. So x cube L by 3 is nothing but L by 2 whole cube minus 0. So if you simplify this, the moment of inertia I, m by 3L. So L cube divided by 2 cube is nothing but 8 and minus 0. So this should be for single part of length. So here we considering the two part, it is L by 2 plus L by 2, so that this equation will be become 2m 3L L cube by 8. For here we considering 2 for here bifurcating the length into L by 2, so that 2 ones are 2 fours are. So I will be equal to m L square 12. This is the moment of inertia of a thin rod having the mass m, and the axis always passes through the center. And what will be the radius of gyration? Radius of gyration, we know that the radius of gyration will be given by I m k square. So instead of k square, here we getting the 1 by L, this one. So k square is nothing but L square divided by 12. K is nothing but the root of L square divided by 12, or that should be equal to L by root 12. This is the radius of gyration when you consider the axis exactly to the center. So next one will be when you consider this axis exactly to the end of the rod, what happens to this moment of inertia. Let us discuss that. Next one will be the same thin rod having the length L and mass m, but the axis will be at the end. Okay. So here also I will consider small area dx from x. So here the moment of inertia will be given by I will be equal to sum of m r square. So instead of r square or instead of moment of inertia, so I will write for moment of inertia for this rod, that is I will be equal to m by L x square dx for a small area. For full rod we have to integrate this. I should be equal to integral of m L x square into dx. The limit here we consider that only the L, okay, L to 0. If you integrate this, m by L will be the constant 0 to L x square dx. If you integrate this equation, we get I will be equal to m L and x cube by 3 into L 0. So m L 3L L cube minus 0. So L cube L square. So m 3L square. So this will be the moment of inertia when you consider the axis exactly to the end of the rod. So radius of gyration will be given by m k square. So k square is nothing but L square divided by 3. So r k will be equal to L divided by root 3. This is the radius of gyration when you consider the axis at the end. Next one will be, if you consider these axes on any rod or perpendicular to the axis, not exactly the center, it is only perpendicular to the axis. Let us discuss that. So here we have to consider the rod, but axis will be only perpendicular. That means rod having the length L, so axis O dash axis will be only perpendicular axis. Here also we have to consider the dx and x, okay. So the length here to here will be A and here to here will be L minus A. That means this is capital L, L minus A is nothing but the distance from here to here. The moment of inertia will be given by m L x square dx. So we need a total moment of inertia. That means if you integrate this from the limit L minus A to minus A, this is very important limits. So m by L x square dx. So here I will be equal to m by L will be constant minus A to L by L minus A and x square dx. So m by L, so x cube by 3 L minus A to minus A. So m by L, I will take 3 common. Instead of x cube, I will apply the limit L minus A whole cube minus A whole cube. So I will write this 3L. So here L minus A whole cube is nothing but L cube minus A cube minus 3L square A plus 3A square L minus into minus plus A cube. So here plus minus A cube and plus A cube get cancelled, we left with m 3L L cube minus 3L square A plus 3A square L, okay. So I will take L as common. m3l. So if we take L as common, we left with L square minus 3LA plus 3A square. So L get cancelled, m by 3 L square 3LA plus 3A square. So here I will multiply these 3 again. L square 3 minus 3LA divided by 3 plus 3A square divided by 3. 3 get cancelled, here 3 get cancelled. We left with m L square by 3 minus LA plus A square. So this will be the moment of inertia. So the gyration will be given by m k square. So instead of k square is nothing but this value. So that the k square is nothing but L square 3 minus LA plus A square. So that k will be equal to root of L square by 3 minus LA plus A square. This is the radius of gyration when you consider axis perpendicular to the rod. Okay. This completes the moment of inertia of thin uniform rod and also two theorems, that is parallel axis moment of inertia of parallel and perpendicular axis theorem. For perpendicular, two cases, for plane and a three-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system. So next class let us discuss what will be the moment of inertia of rectangular body. Thank you.